afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending Building an Online Class, Part 1 Overview. My name is Rose DiNardo, and I am the Assistant Director of the eLearning Division at Camden County College. So today's agenda, as I said, this Part 1 is an overview, and that overview will include a quality rubric, planning and credit equivalency, syllabus, modules, which includes an orientation session. There'll be time for questions and answers, and I will go over what support is available and then some reminders at the very end. So here's an overview of what training was like prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, if somebody wanted to teach an online or a hybrid course even, they had to come to one-on-one training with us in the eLearning division. That one-on-one training for online classes consisted of 9 one-hour sessions. For a hybrid course, we combined sessions, so it was less. And what we would do is we would break it down into these different sessions. So this is kind of what the 6 sessions that you are going to do for the series are going to include. And what we would do, for example, is session 1 would include all the things that I talked about in the agenda, and then we would give you 1 week to go off and create and do session 1. And then you would come back, and for session 2, we would start by going over any issues you had doing the work from session 1, and then we would move on to the features in session 2, and then you would get an allotted amount of time in order to do that work. Now, as you can see, session 3, files and pages, there is a 4-week period because that is where the bulk of your work is, getting your materials together for the course. So this is what it was like before everyone on campus was teaching in an online modality. One-on-one training is still available if you would feel more comfortable with that. If you go through these webinars, these group webinar sessions, but you feel that you want to do a one-on-one session in order to do your hybrid or online course, they are still available. You can contact the distance learning email at distancelearning@camdencc.edu. We will get that email and we will ask you for what class you're teaching. We will ask you for the semester that you are looking to build this class for. And we also like to have a copy of your syllabus. There's a couple reasons for that. One, we want to get an idea of what your course is like and what kind of things you need to do and what features you might be using. We also want to help you change your syllabus from a face-to-face syllabus to a hybrid or an online syllabus, which is something that we're going to discuss later on in the presentation as well. So we would have those multiple 1-hour sessions virtually, and we would share our screens, and you would not be muted as you are today. You would be able to speak freely with myself or with Jenny McGee, our instructional designer. If you already have existing hybrid or online classes, we can also review those courses with you if you would like, and offer any ways to make any improvements that we can make in the course, any ways that we can help make it easier for you or your students to navigate or work through the course. So that is also available, and you can email the eLearning division at the same email address, and we can work with you one-on-one for that as well. All right, the first thing that we talk about when we're doing an overview is how do you know what should be in your hybrid or online class? There are several rubrics available. Some of them, like Quality Matters that we used to pay for, the rubric is one of the most well-known quality rubrics out there. Oscar is free from SUNY and from the Online Learning Consortium, and there is the URL for that. And I'm also able to send you a copy as well, because you do have to sign up for it with your um, name and college information. But this is a free rubric, and when we compared it to the Quality Matters rubric, it's almost identical. It's just instead of a point system like the Quality Matters uses, Oscar uses a different system that we're going to look into a little further in a moment. So there are 50 standards altogether that constitute a quality course. Now, you don't have to use all 50. I don't want you to think that this is going to be an overwhelming task. But there are 50 standards that that add to a course's quality. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the full rubric now. So let me go to that. So here is the full Oscar course design review. And this, of course, you could do on your own, or if you want, we can always do one for you and fill out the form for you, and then you can go through and make some modifications. So I hope everybody can see that okay on their screen. So as you can see, the sections are divided. So the first section is course overview and information. And in that section, we have 10 standards. Then we do course technology and tools, design and layout, content and activities, interaction, assessment, and feedback. So those are the different sections within the rubric. And then altogether, you can see there are 50 different elements as we talked about. So what you would do is you would take this and you would start with, number one, and say course includes welcome and getting started content. Now, some of you are probably reading these standards and thinking, a lot of this stuff just seems logical and you already include it in your course. So really, as you go through this rubric, it's not going to be much for you to do. But the stuff here that seems obvious to you might not be obvious to someone else, and that's why it's included on the rubric. So something as simple as giving contact information or technical support information, those are things that are included here on the rubric, and I'm not going to go through all 50 standards, but those are the kind of things that are included in addition to more complex, I should say. That's not really the word I want to use, but more complex elements to the course. So when you're using this rubric to go through your existing course or the course that you're going to create, you'll see here that there are different boxes that you can check. If it's sufficiently present, you can check off that box. And you can see if you download it directly from SUNY and the Online Learning Consortium, you can use the electronic check marks, or you can print it out and check it off. If you have minor revisions to do, minor revisions are something that would be considered a half an hour or less. You could check off that box. Moderate revisions are something that would take 30 minutes to 2 hours. Major revisions are anything that takes longer than 2 hours, or if it's something that's not applicable to your course, you can click on that box as well. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to look at a couple of these course design standards in each section. So here is another one. A printable syllabus is available to learners, and that is something that everybody has, because for your face-to-face classes, you have to turn them in. And for hybrid and online classes, students have to have a syllabus that they can print out as well. Now that syllabus is part of the orientation session. So you can have a basic syllabus, which we're going to show you in a little while. And then your orientation session could have other detailed information and links to other um, places on the college website, which I'll also show you. If I scroll down a little more, we have course technology and tools. So this is asking for you to let students know what skills they need for the technology that they're going to use. So that could just be, students need basic computer skills. So when you are writing up your syllabus, you can have a section for prerequisites for the course, as far as if you're teaching, English 101, you would put what the prerequisite courses are for that. And then you could have another section that says prerequisite skills. Design and layout. A logical, consistent, and uncluttered layout is established. The course is easy to navigate. So part of that's already done for you, because there's not very much that you can do in the learning management system that we use in order to um, change colors and themes and stuff like that. But what this means is, instead of having things in files and pages and discussions, use the modules and design the layout so that students can just go to the modules and find everything they need for each week. So that would be something that would constitute the requirements for number 16, is being able to have the students go to one place to look at all of their work. Content and activities. So course offers access to a variety of engaging resources that facilitate communication and collaboration, deliver content, and support learning and engagement. So basically what that means is that you don't want to just tell your students to read the textbook and take a quiz. That's not a full class, and that's something that you wouldn't do in your face-to-face class either. So what this means is that you want to offer a variety of materials and activities to the students. So you might have a discussion board each week. You might have a brief quiz each week. So that's what this means, is that you don't just want to send your students off to read the textbook and give them one little activity to do and hope that they're retaining the information. You have to build a full course. And we'll talk about how to do that also when we talk about credit equivalencies as well. So for the interaction section, learners have an opportunity to to know the instructor. So this means that you're not just going to build your class and let the students work without any interaction or facilitation from you. Most of your work, yes, is done at the beginning when you build the class, but you still are expected to interact with the students in a hybrid and online course. So how can you do that? You would do that through discussion boards, getting to know the instructor. That could be a greeting on the homepage, letting the students know a little bit about yourself. So there's different ways that you can interact with the students. You can also have office hours via the conference section as well. You could do test reviews via the conference section. So there are plenty of opportunities for you to interact with your students. And our final section is assessment and feedback. So let's look here. Okay, learners have opportunities to review their performance and assess their own learning throughout the course. So this could be pre-tests, automated self-tests, reflective assignments, etc. Okay, so the learning management system has the ability for you to do all of these things. So when you give the students a test, if you use a test that is going to be auto-graded, which most of the question options can be auto-graded except for essays and short answers, the students will have the opportunity to see what the right or wrong answers are based on the settings that you use. They can either see that right away or they can see it after everyone has taken the test. You also want to make sure that you are providing them with feedback. Um, Another option for the assessment and feedback section is providing students with a survey, and there is a survey option that can be anonymous within the learning management system as well. So this is the Oscar rubric. Again, you can sign up for it free at the URL that I provided, or if you would like, you can request a copy directly from eLearning, and we'd be happy to send that to you as well. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is planning and credit equivalency. So these are both very important to the process. So before you do anything, and by that I mean before you start putting stuff into your Canvas account, into your shell, you want to plan everything out. And I will admit, when I started out um, teaching and learning how to be an instructional designer, I made this same mistake. I was just super excited to have the opportunity to build a class, and I just started putting things in there. And then what happens is you realize, oh, this really should go in week 3, and this should go in week 11, and oh, I found something better than this, and all kinds of things start happening. And then you have a course shell that is loaded with information. Some of it you want to use, some of it you don't want to use, some of it that needs to be moved around. And it becomes quite cluttered and quite confusing. And then it adds to, um, it makes the process of building the class more daunting. So you really want to, before you do anything, you want to plan out your course. And so we start with the rubric so that you know what kind of things you want or need to add in the class. So you read through the rubric, and then you make yourself a planning matrix, or if you'd like, we can send you a copy of the planning matrix that's on the screen. And this planning matrix allows you to write out what it is that you want your course to look like. What does each week look like, and what are you including in each week? So the first thing you want to do is you want to name the module. You don't just want to put module 1, module 2. You want to give the module a name. So the first one would be orientation session, which is very important to helping students get situated with the course. Then, module 1 would be whatever the topic is that week. And that's what you would name each module, whatever the weekly topic is. Then you want to include objectives for the students for each week. And you would do that by creating a page, which Ginny will talk more about next week. And you could put your objectives in a page. And then you would write out what the objectives are for each week. And then what materials are you going to use? And materials could be anything from PowerPoints to Excel spreadsheets to videos to links to URLs to the web. So what materials do you need your students to watch or read in order to learn for the week? And that also includes reading from the textbook as well. So that would be part of your material section. And then what forums or discussion boards, I'm so used to calling them forums from the previous learning management system, but the new learning management system calls them discussion boards. So you might hear me use those terms interchangeably. So for the discussion boards, what kind of discussions do you want to have with students? Now, I personally, in my course, I do 3 types of forums. I do a weekly forum that everybody has to answer and reply to 3 classmates. I have engagement forums, which I don't put in every week. They're just like if something pops up in the news, or if I think of a question that I want students to talk about, I'll make an engagement forum. So it's not required and they don't get any points for it, but it's a way for us to interact to one another with one another. And then I do what I call guided forums. And those guided forums are me helping the students out and brainstorming with them on work. It would be as if I was standing at the whiteboard, writing their answer and then working through it with them. So those are the types of forums that I do in my class, and I found them very beneficial, and the students do even participate in the optional ones as well. Not everybody, but I still get a good amount. Then what assignments do the students have to do? Are you going to give them an assignment every week, or are they going to have an assignment that crosses over a couple weeks? And then are you going to do weekly quizzes and exams, or are you just going to do a midterm and a final? And you would figure out where those fall into here in the planning matrix. Once you have everything planned out, then you can start gathering everything. Then you could go in and start doing everything section by section. So just like we're going to show you in building the series, first you're going to start with naming your modules and putting all of your modules in. And then once that's done, then you'll do all of your files and pages. So that would include your module objectives and your materials. You would put those in. After all of that is done, then you would continue the same way, doing all of your forums first, then your assignments, and then your quizzes. There's a reason why we do it that way. One, it does make it a lot easier to see what you have and where it's going to go, and you can see each week building up. The other thing is if you do a quiz this week and then you don't build another quiz for a few weeks, you might forget how to do something. Where if you're building all of your quizzes at once, you're on a roll and you've got this and you know exactly what it is to do, and you don't have to remember weeks from now how to do something. So that is how you plan for your course. Now, as far as the credit equivalency, a 3-credit course is about 2,250 minutes, I believe. And what you want to do is you want to divide that by the number of weeks in your course. So I didn't put all of the estimates here because everybody's teaching a different amount of weeks, and I didn't want to put that all on here. And as you can see, I also don't have for 4-credit class, but it's easy to figure out what you would have done in class, and what you would, how much time that would be in minutes. So you divide that by the number of weeks, and that's how you obtain how many minutes students are required to work each week. So that is part of the credit equivalency. And then what you have to do is you have to figure out, okay, in week 1 of this class, if I was in a face-to-face class, this is what I would be doing in the face-to-face class. And how can I take that information and put that into an online or hybrid course? So for example, if you did a lecture-based course and in week 1 you lectured for 30 minutes of each course, say you had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course and it's 50 minutes and you lectured for 30 minutes and then you did questions for 20 minutes. So now you need 30 minutes worth of materials for students to read over or to interact with in order for them to get that lecture material. Then you need, say, the next 20 minutes or the last 20 minutes of each class was a discussion period. So then you want to put in a discussion board so that students can interact with one another using a discussion board. That's how you do a credit equivalency. What does not count? Reading the textbook and doing research for papers, because that's not stuff that you would normally let students do during the class period. You're going to count them, whatever was the lecture equivalent. So if you gave them PowerPoints and videos to watch, yes, that would count because that takes the place of the lecture. but reading the textbook or researching papers does not. Discussion boards, yes, that takes the place of a lecture. So what you have to do is kind of think, okay, how long is it going to take for a student to answer this discussion board and answer so many students, and just give it a rough idea. There is no right or wrong answer. Keep in mind that you don't want to overwhelm the students with a lot of work. You can go over the amount of minutes. You can't go under, but you don't want to go so much over to where you're giving them more work than what you would have in a standard course. All right, let's talk about the syllabus. The reason why we go over a syllabus is because a lot of times we find that people forget to go over their syllabus and look at their policies. There, the policies, there are policies that apply only to face-to-face classes, such as cell phones and wearing hats and um, things of that nature. You want to also consider your contact information. So when you are using the Canvas system, you have an email within the Canvas system. So do you want students to contact you via your college email, or do you want them to strictly use the Canvas email? Um, Office hours are available when you're doing an online or hybrid course. You can do office hours for those who are adjunct faculty, because now you don't need to have an office space. You can do everything virtually. So that's something that you want to consider and include on your syllabus. It's also very important to include technical support information for all the mediums that you're using. So you want to include technical support for Canvas. But if you're also using a publisher site or textbook, you want to include technical support information for them as well. If you are using any kind of software, you want to include technical support. We get a lot of calls for technical support for these different areas. And while we do try to help when we can, we don't have administrator rights to those sites, or we have limited knowledge about how they function behind the scenes. So the best thing to do for students is whatever you are using to include technical support for all of the software and systems. So let's go ahead and take a look at a syllabus. Okay, let me make this a little bigger here. Okay, so this syllabus, just like everything else, is available to you if you wanted a copy. Anywhere where there is red is where it's intended for you to tweak it and fill in your personal information or your policies. So we're going to go through this. I may skip a section here and there or just glance over it, because it might not be a section that's really, matters whether or not it's face to face or online. So let's take a look at that. So the first thing up here is syllabus 4, and you can put the course name. And I myself like to use the same syllabus for all sections when I'm teaching online, because the module becomes my calendar, or sometimes I create a separate calendar. But the syllabus and my policies are the same regardless of a course. So what I do is when I teach, I put in the course name and the beginning of the course number, and then I have it say all online sections, because I am I don't want to have to go back and change my syllabus every single semester for every class that I teach, when that's the only thing that I'm changing about it. So I keep that exactly the same. Then the first thing I do is I put a greeting here, and you could just, you know, let your students know that you're happy to, that they're joining the class, a little bit about yourself, whatever it is that you want. Then we have our contact information. And as I said, you have to determine how you want the students to contact you. So here I say the Canvas mail system must be used for all correspondence during the semester. After the semester has concluded, you may contact me at, and then I usually give out my CCC email. Oh, sorry, I went too far. I'm having technical difficulties here. One moment. There we go. Response expectations. So one of the things that we suggest is running your course Monday through Sunday as opposed through Sunday through Saturday. And I've piloted this myself, and it actually works much better when I run my course Monday through Sunday. The reason why is because a lot of times I tried not to have to do too much of my coursework on Saturday and Sunday, where if I'm making things due on Saturday evening, or even Sunday evening, then um, students are asking me a lot of questions. They're sending me a lot of emails. They're panicking. They need tech support, which might not be available. So I'm sorry, did I say Monday through Sunday? I meant Tuesday through Monday. I run my classes Tuesday through Monday. And what that does is it allows the students who work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to do their work. If they encounter problems on Sunday night, they know they still have Monday morning to contact me and technical support for any information that they do, that they need. So one of the things on the quality rubrics is letting your students know response expectations. So here is a little blurb letting students know how long it's going to take to respond to messages. It's also letting them know that if response times are going to be affected, um, I will let them know. So if I am, going to be at a conference, I'm going to just let my students know that I'm at a conference and I have limited resources so that my um, information, my responses are going to be delayed. I also like to include something, what to include in correspondence, because students send messages like they're texting. So I like to give them a little blurb about what it is that I like them to send, and that is providing a detailed question and an explanation, letting me know, if they've already talked to someone in technical support. Um, if they are asking me about a grade, every time I grade something, if they get less than 100, I provide them some kind of feedback, letting them know why. So I don't want them to just ask me why they got that grade. I want them to explain what it is that they don't understand about the comment. If they're asking about an assignment, I want them to tell me what assignment it is that they're asking for. So I let them know that type of information. Textbook and equipment. So this again, all of these things that are included in the syllabus that we're going over are things that you will find on the quality rubric. So by completing all of these sections, you have completed a standard on the rubric. So that's why some of this stuff seems to be stuff that you normally wouldn't include. It's because it's part of the quality rubric and just gives students more direction and more information. So with the section for textbook and equipment, you would let your students know the required textbook, even though they can get that information at the bookstore, any optional text that you want them to have. And here is your minimal technical skills required, which we discussed. So if they just need basic computer skills, you could put that down. If they need to learn, if they need to have Excel experience, you would put that down. You would let the students know any of that information. Course credits and prerequisites. this is already written for you. It's already in the academic program guide. So there's no sense in rewriting the wheel. You can always copy and paste that in. Again, here we're letting the students know that a prerequisite for this class is basic computer skills are required to use Canvas. And these include, but not limited to, the ability to create, save, edit documents, upload files, copy, paste, delete, and navigate the internet. You want to put in your course description and your learning outcomes. So the course description you can get again from the academic program guide. The learning outcomes you could get from the master syllabi. And those, the master syllabi, if you're an adjunct faculty member, I believe you could get from your department secretary. It's also good to include distance learning information. So instead of putting all of the information that's on our site, you can just give them a link to the site and let them know what it is that they will find there. What they will find there are technical requirements for using Canvas. A question and answer section, a self-assessment, and technical support, as well as other course information. Now, attendance and expectations, that's an important section for switching from a face-to-face to an online hybrid format. You want to let the students know that this is not a self-paced class. There's a common misconception because in some classes, a very, very small percentage of classes, the faculty member will keep everything open and let the students work at their own pace and turn things in throughout the semester. That is not what we recommend. That is not a best practice. We say that it is self-paced to the extent that you have weekly deadlines, but you have to do the work, and you can do the work anytime, anywhere, as long as you meet those weekly deadlines. So students are expected to participate regularly and submit work by deadlines. Now, attendance can be monitored in a few ways. Here it says attendance is monitored by forums, assignments, exams, quizzes, and participation. So what I do, some people like to say, okay, this student is participating this week, they're technically here. What I do in my particular class, and what some other people do as well, is if a student doesn't hand in, I don't want to have to keep looking at everything and seeing if the students did they email me this week, did they log in this week. What I do is if a student misses submitting something, I count that as an absence. So I have things due twice a week. So if a student doesn't do anything that week, it's 2 absences. If they do one thing that week, it is only 1 absence, and that's how I do it. So students missing, and here's an example of what some people use: 4 deadlines in a 15-week class, 3 deadlines in a 13-week class, or 2 deadlines in a 7-week class. They may be asked to withdraw from the course and will be given a grade of NA. And then, of course, students who do not formally withdraw but do not attend after attendance reports are submitted will receive a grade of F. So you want to remind the students what the attendance and expectations are, so that they know that just because this is an online class, you're still watching and making sure that they're submitting stuff. And the weekly deadlines helps keep them on track. And it also helps from keeping you from getting behind in grading as well, because if students aren't doing anything for weeks at a time, and then all of a sudden it's getting close to the end of the semester, then they are going to all of a sudden start handing things in, and then you're not going to be able to turn around the grading as quick as you would like. Also, especially in a class where your feedback is really crucial, if students are doing all of the assignments all at once, they're not getting feedback on an assignment to incorporate in the next assignment. And that's why the weekly deadlines are important. Okay, you can include a policy about late work. One thing to keep in mind on Canvas, how this would work as far as late work would go, is that there are two dates that you could put in. There are the dates that when the students have access to the assignment, the start date and the end date, and then there is a due date. I myself make my due date and my end date the same. However, if you wanted to give students an opportunity to submit late work, your end date would go past your due date. Here's just more expectations for the students, and what expectations they should have for me. Next, we have technical support, and we did talk about that um, a bit when we started the overview. So for technical support, again, you want to include technical support for everything that you are using, whether it's a learning management system, a publisher website, an app, anything that you are using, you want to include technical support. And then college resources. So I know a lot of people include little blurbs about all of these resources here. We have disability services and advisement in the bookstore and so on. So instead of including a blurb in your syllabus about each of these things, why not let them go directly to the source? So I tell them that information about these following areas are available in the orientation session. And then what I do is I create a link to the web page for disability services, for the open access labs, for tutoring. And I let the students have the ability to say, oh, I need tutoring, let me click there. Oh, I need to contact disability services, let me click on that link. And it takes them to the most updated information directly from the source, instead of me having to update my information all the time and making my syllabus much longer for the students to read. Next, we have our evaluation policies. So basically, that's going to be the same as what you would do in your regular class. How are you going to grade the students? So that's why this is all red, because everybody has their own policies and such. One thing to keep in mind is that the Canvas gradebook, while it is a remarkable tool, can be limited in what you want it to do. You can drop lowest grades. You can do things like that. You can override a final grade. Um, you could set late policies so that it automatically takes a percentage off. So it is a good tool. However, we find that sometimes in face-to-face classes, teachers get very creative with how they grade. And sometimes that creativity cannot be um, copied in the learning management format. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your grading policy for your online class. Is it something that the Canvas gradebook will be able to do? So this is just more examples of the grading section. Um, the next section, this is optional. This isn't something that is part of the rubric. Your grade is your responsibility. It's just a little something that I like to include for my students, especially when they come to me and say, I'm failing and there's 3 weeks left of the class. What are you going to do about it? Well, here's what's going to be done about it. Your grade was your responsibility. So that's just a little something that I like to include in the course. And also, I like to include what types of materials I'm going to use. And I like to let the students know a little bit about those types of materials. So again, this is all optional. This has no bearing on whether or not you switch from a face-to-face, hybrid, or online class. It's just what we put in our sample syllabus for you to earn or to check off those boxes on the quality rubric. And then the types of work, and that is everything on the syllabus. Excuse me. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. All right, the next thing on our PowerPoint is looking at modules. So I am actually going to go to a course and look at a module. Okay. So this is my account that I work in. And here is a template course. All right, so as you can see, the greeting that I usually have on my syllabus, I do put on my home page for the students, and it's just a little story for them about myself. But I really want you to focus on the modules, because part of the overview is creating those modules after you've done everything else. So here, I've created the module, and it says orientation session. And I like to include the dates for the students that they're going to do that particular session, because it just stands out for them. A lot of people don't realize this, but you can put text in the module here, where I put a quote in every module for the students. You can do that. You click on the plus sign and you add a text header, and you can add text to your section. Excuse me. But here I have objectives and tips for work. I have the syllabus that I've created, which is similar to the syllabus that you just saw. I also like to do an orientation quiz. And then here's just different information that they are going to have to use throughout the course. And then, as you notice, there was some information that wasn't necessarily in my syllabus, and that's where I add it here so that it stands out for students and they can review it in little chunks at a time. So I have library resources and how to do citations. I also do an assignment for them so that they can all get their library card, and I give them 10 points in participation for that. They can sign up for an information literacy session. So the library can do online sessions for the computer literacy that they used to, or for the information literacy, like they used to do directly in the library. Online tutoring and resources, and so on. And then here I use the text, I use a page, and I let students know that I'm going to hold office hours every Sunday from 7:15 to 8:15. And that is a page that I do for students, so that it's a reminder for them. So what you're going to do, if you are building a class with us, you are going to look at the rubric. You're going to start your planning and credit equivalency, and you're going to put in your modules. So that is something that you want to think about doing before you attend the next class. Okay, let's go on. So now's the time for you to start thinking about what questions you have for me. I know this was longer than some of our other presentations that we have had. So there is a question section that you can start typing questions. While you're doing that, I'm just going to go over a few other things. So I just want to introduce you to the eLearning division. Dr. Patrick Chad is our Associate Dean. None of our faculty, I don't believe, has had a chance to meet him yet. He hasn't been here that long, and he started during the pandemic when we were working at home. So I don't even know if he's been to his office on campus yet. But he is always available You'll find that he is very approachable and is always ready to help everyone. Then, of course, there I am in the middle. I am the assistant director of eLearning. Most of you are probably familiar with the third person there, Ginny McGee. She's our instructional designer and usually the first person that everyone goes to, and she does the majority of the trainings in the department. Here's what support is available to you. There is Canvas support available by searching the Canvas guides. There is a support hotline or a live chat option available, and that's available 24/7 every day of the year. The e-learning division is also available to help you, and there's our email address. Again, while we do have individual email addresses, the shared email is a great way to contact us also, because if one of us is unavailable, like I am right at this moment, Ginny or Dr. Chad would be available to assist. We are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Of course, some of you know we have a nasty habit of checking our email outside of normal business hours and while we're on vacation. However, you don't necessarily want to bank on that. So if it's something important, you want to contact Canvas. I hope that you join me next Tuesday, where I will be doing Building an Online Class Series Part 3. I believe Part 3, I might be doing exams for Part 3. I apologize, I cannot recall what Part 3 is at this time, but I will be doing Part 3, and I hope that you've enjoyed today and you found it beneficial and that you will join me for that. All right, let me go back and see if there are any questions here. All right, no one has put any questions in for me. So I want to thank you for sharing this afternoon with me and for taking the time to learn how to start building your online class. If you think of questions later, or if it's something that you want to ask me privately because it pertains to something specific within your course, please do not hesitate to contact me. I am always happy to help you. And as I said at the beginning of the presentation, I am willing to do, we're all willing to work with you one-on-one to help you build a quality course. Thank you. Have a good afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day.